It was such a mistake to move in with my mother-in-law. I let out a heavy sigh, listening to her complaints. My name is Matilda, 31 years old. My 28-year-old husband, Mike, and I married 3 years ago. When we first moved in together, we had a few arguments, but overall we were happy. A year after our marriage, Mike's dad passed away. Mike was worried about his grieving Amanda, so we moved in with her. I never imagined she was so nasty and mean. I didn't mind if it was a little but what she did was more like degrading herself. It was all a baseless personal attack.
Don't just stay in the room and play computer games, but do some housework, you bum.
I heard her sarcastic tone of voice from the hallway. She came to complain right after she had her breakfast. I made that breakfast, didn't I? I wanted to retort, but restrained myself, only for the time being.
I was planning to clean the house finished eating. Besides, I wasn't playing on the comp. I was actually working.
You always make excuses. You think I'm stupid and don't know about computers?
I'm not making up excuses. Our generation works on computers, long.
I was a certified accountant and worked from home. I used to work at my friend's office for a while after I graduated, but I switched to freelance. Most of my job could be done so I worked from home to balance work with household tasks. I explained that to her before, but she shrugged it off, saying just a part-time job. I wasn't good enough to hold her head. Wasn't sure if she made irrelevant comments because she couldn't keep up with the world. If she just picked on me out of boredom. I assumed both. Anyway, I was kind of a person who worked for the rest of my life, so we just couldn't get along. I had always put my effort into housework, even while working, to confront her prejudice. I woke up early to prepare breakfast 3. I cared about our health, so I cooked a light menu of mostly for dinner. I didn't slack on cleaning either. All these efforts had the opposite Amanda in the end. She stopped doing any of the housework and just criticized everything I did. She led a carefree life of watching day long, for going out to bingo and coffee with my Y friends sometimes. A woman like her was calling me, who was highly regarded in my field, a bum. I wanted to throw it back to her. One day, while I was spending my day annoyance, I opened my credit card bill and my popped out of my head. $1,500 for a suitcase. I didn't remember buying such expensive things. When I checked the detail, they were Mike's card. I asked him immediately,
Hey, did you buy a suit and a bag?
Oops. You saw something you weren't supposed to see. I needed for work.
Even so, you're just a regular sale, right? It doesn't have to be this expensive.
His suits used to cost about $300 and his bag too was more or less the same.
Well, the expensive ones are much quality. They make me feel more confident, and importantly, they look better. See, don't you think I look better days?
I'm not sure.
He didn't look better to me at all. A young guy in his 20s, wearing that didn't fit his stature. The suits looked better than him. And contrary to what he thought, he was undignified.
You have no sense of fashion.
Amanda forcefully interrupted our conversation.
You look amazing, Mike. So handsome.
Thanks, Mom.
You are living off of this salary and complained about how he spends. You have thick skin. Who do you think you are?
I was angry at her for intruding on our conversation and said whatever she wanted to say. Who did she think she was? I didn't care about this ignorant what, but I was angrier with Mike, who didn't tell me about it. I had tons of things to say to him, but no matter what I said, Amanda was determined to defend him. Instead of trying to carry on, I firmly warned him.
Anyway, stop buying expensive thing, first.
I ended at that. But my warning didn't work at all. On the contrary, his spending increased. It was all for his leisure, such as expensive meal at a restaurant, a scarf and a wallet from a designer, car rental in Sydney, Melbourne, Brisbane, Perth, Adelaide, Gold Coast, Cairns, Darwin, Hobart, Canberra, Sunshine Coast, Geelong, Townsville, Launceston, and all other major cities. There seemed to be nothing related work. When we first got married, he didn't do this. The cause of this change was Amanda.
You're the head of the household, so you're ground. Don't help with housework. Just because Matilda is older doesn't mean you have to do what she says. You make her understand that you are her.
Like an incantation, she chanted today, indecisive and without a will of his. He was easily influenced by her. In order to change him back to his self, I had to contain her curse on him. She was determined and went to her rock.
What do you want? I'm busy. If you want to talk, keep it brief.
She was just lounging around, watch, and drinking tea.
Please listen to me carefully. We cannot save any money because of overspending. We must save some in case of emergencies such as sudden illness or repairs to the car.
That's just because you're not good at making sushi rolls. At his age, he must be making at least a year, right?
You're off by one digit, 11.
What? Is he making 100?
It seemed one digit means tank in her, but I kept quiet. She must have taken my silence as an affirmation. Her eyes danced with delight.
Anyway, please tell him to stop overspending.
Yes, that's it. If so, please leave.
She waved her hand as if to get rid. Oh. I rolled my eyes. A few days later, Amanda excitingly barged into my rock.
What is it?
Stunned, she shoved papers at me with a look on her face.
Sign these and divorce Mike now. You're after his money from the beginning. You gold digger.
Mike's sections were already signed. I took the papers from her hand and Mike.
Hey, Mike, did you sign these?
I did. Mom says you're after my money.
I see. And you believe her?
Well, she's my mom.
As soon as I heard it, I made up my...
Okay, let's get divorced.
I packed up the papers, my computer, some valuables, and clothes in my suitcase and left the house. My parents lived too far away that easily go back there. I checked into a motel and tried to, for the time being. Getting a divorce was finalized in... What did she mean by I was after his? I couldn't stand living with a man dependent on his mom. I was going to sign and submit them day. Getting a divorce didn't bother me. It was actually a godsend, so I didn't argue. But there was something unforgivable. I went through my credit card stater and came up with a perfect response. After I submitted the divorce papers, I was enjoying my single life. I chose an apartment with good security, but it was quite expensive. But my income and savings were sufficient. I realized how stressed I was living with Mike and Amanda. About a month after the divorce, I received a call from Mike.
Yes. Hello?
Matilda, please listen.
What is it? I'm listening. I already emailed you asking you to get rid of everything I left behind.
Not that. I'm in trouble. My card declined.
I snickered. Your card, you blacklisted bastard.
Of course it is. You say it's yours, but you're just a member. If I, the primary member, cannot use it anymore.
What? You did?
I'm not your wife anymore. You're on your own.
I hang up on him. He kept calling me as if there was no, but I never picked up. Mike actually was way behind in payments on his credit cards before we got married. I took over and paid them all off for. Looking back on it, I should have cleaned up my relations him then. Well, no point in regretting. He most likely wasn't able to because of his bad credit history, he was unable to get a loan from a bank. Anyway, it was none of my business. A few days after Mike called, I saw someone hovering around in front of my apartment building. It was Amanda. She happened to see me on the street. She followed me. I was impressed with her blunt action.
I need to talk to you.
She clamored and clung to me at once. So, reluctantly, I took her to a cafe.
What do you want now?
Well, about this.
Amanda was holding my bank statement. It was from a few months ago that I did it.
Is this your salary?
Yes, this is what I earned working home. You used to say it was just part-time. I'm a professional.
She kept quiet. Her hand holding the statement was,
I can't believe it wasn't my son, Ia figures.
There's no way that idiot could make much. You're too naive.
I said once and for all. Her peanut brain really believed it, son. Mike was making 110th of my income. He worked as a salesman with a low base salary with a big commission. The more he sold, the bigger his paycheck. But that carefree guy was happy as he got his base. He was totally relying on my salary. No, he must not have even had the relying on me. Amanda finally grasped the reality.
Sweetie, it's not too late to get with the program.
Too late.
I firmly replied, how amusing. Even though her suggestion was interesting, it wasn't practical. She, undaunted, spoke with a sweet voice.
You were once in love and got married. It would be a shame to just part with it.
Not at all. It's more shameful to have you guys hard-earned money.
Oh no! You're terrible.
Don't depend on me and go work then you won't be a bum either. Is that your only concern?
You're so awful to disregard an old friend.
I paid no attention to her ranting and left the cafe. I felt relieved from the stress of with her. After seeing Amanda's distorted look of dismay, I planned to deliver the final blow. One Friday night, I accosted him in front of a building downtown. It was a kind of red light district strip club located. Mike showed up after 9 p.m. Dressed in a skimpy dress.
What are you doing here?
You are an idiot. You've been using my credit card at place.
I had seen the name of the club on statements. It was always on a Friday, and I would be so excited to go out with my friends after school. Once I had the name, it was easy to location.
Honey, who is this?
The girl in his arm looked in her ear. The hem of her skirt was up to her crotch, and her top revealed her cleavage.
Hi, I'm his ex-wife. In other words, a stranger.
Shut up.
I came to tell you something. Please pay back the debt I took over when we got married, and the money you spent during the holidays. My lawyer will send you a few days. Please take care of it. Also, you seem to have gotten a lot from him, but I paid for all that.
Wait, Matilda.
Ignoring him, I walked away, clacking on the street. How about? I felt so cool. I heard Mike and his girlfriend argue. I assumed a girlfriend was the one been cheating on me with. I had seen a list of transactions from a cosmetic store, a brand name popular with young women, even a motel. All of these suspicious purchases, 6 on Fridays. Of course, all the payments at the were also made on Fridays. I later found out that he spent Friday afternoons with his girlfriend. He bought whatever she asked him to and then went to her work together. By looking at the pattern of there from the statement, I came up with the idea to confront person on the spot. I assumed they would have a dramatic impact on the environment. After his girlfriend found out about his wealth, he decided to propose her with a 100,000 ring. Just as I declared to him, I sent him an invoice through my lawyer. As soon as he received it, he and Amanda visited my lawyer.
Please, help us. You're a lawyer. You're supposed to people in need, right?
They cried out when my lawyer asked him about They told him that they had received a final notice from the credit card company, electricity, gas, water, and even taxes. Mike's salary wasn't enough to cover that. Amanda's savings were meager. On top of it,
I didn't know you were married. I was cheated. I want compensation.
Mike's girlfriend demanded a lot of money.
I'm not in a position to pay back. I want you to tell me how to clear debt.
He had consulted with the totally why person. My lawyer was apparently at odds with the prosecutor.
If you own the house, why don't you sell it and use the money to pay off your debt?
He advised at first, and then he reminded Mike that if he didn't repay me, we were going to a court. Hearing this, Mike and Amanda went with disappointment. Later on, my lawyer was asked to waive payment while they were selling the house. I didn't have a choice. It took some time, but the money was... He did a terrible thing to me, and I could have demanded alimony as well. I was nice enough to ask only for the card, so he should have been thankful. I also had them on a restraining order, so I never have to see them. I felt amazing. I laughed out loud in the comfortable apartment. Well, Mike and Amanda ended up rent. Shabby house. After they sold the house and paid off their debts, they were able to save some money. I had passed by it before. The ivy covered the whole house and was peeling off the wall. It looked like it was built 50 years. It was the only place Mike's salary and Amanda's pension could afford. I thought he had learned his lesson and started working hard, but he went the other way. He was finally fired from his job. He never looked for another job and started drinking all day at home. He fell down the stairs one day and was rushed to the hospital by ambulance. While Amanda was busy taking care and trying to come up with the money for the bill, she strained her back and became immobile. Perhaps because she stopped moving. She started showing the symptoms of dementia and couldn't be left alone. She was on the waiting list for a low-cost care facility. I got a call from a relative of Mike who gave me the devastating update. She also asked for those two if I had any interest in getting back with Mike. My answer was no, of course. She seemed to expect it, and I never heard from her again. 2 years after the incident, he moved again. This time, I'm not alone. I live with my new life partner. After my divorce, I changed the way. I moved back in with my parents and an office nearby. Not only Amanda, but my parents are old too. I want to be close to them, in case me. I met my new husband at work. He's a year younger than me and very reliable. Totally the opposite of Mike. He loves and cares for me more than I didn't feel secure enough to have. With the income and the personality, it is possible to determine the level of satisfaction that a person has in their job. But my current husband and I want to raise a child together. With a positive pregnancy test I could imagine my husband's happy makes me grin. I will have a happy family and joyful life. I renewed my determination.